Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome to this latest episode of Movies Merica. Spoiler warning on this Thursday night, this Thirsty Thursday. And as always, I'm your humble host, Van Eberts. And tonight we are going back in time. Yes, we're doing a little Huey Lewis in the news. We're going back in time here to 1991 and talking some Backdraft here. And we are going to do a deep dive. We're going to bust out the scalpel in the section and do an autopsy on this movie, not to make it sound like it's dead or anything like that, but it is 34 years old, okay? But we're going to get into some Backdraft, but not before we do, excuse me, this.
In a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad, you'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies Merica.
All right, everybody. Hey, I hope you are ready. And like that title just said, it's Movies Merica spoiler warning. And so it's, I'm not going to worry about if I spoil anything for this movie. Now, I feel kind of funny saying that because this movie is 34 years old, okay, which makes me feel old because I saw it at the theater. So, but it's, Backdraft. It's a Ron Howard classic, and we are going to talk a lot about that. And real quick, before we get too far into it, I want to welcome my movie maniacs and my fellow freedom-fueled film fanatics here to Movies Merica spoiler warning on this Thirsty Thursday here. And that reminds me to remind you that, you know what? If you're drinking up, you know, if you've got something, if you got a cold one in your hand or whatever you're drinking, hey, go ahead and toss it back right here, okay? Because I'm going to be working on this thing all night long. Pardon me. Apparently, you can tell right there from that not so classy beer burp. I've been already into this thing right here, okay? And so I'll be going over this particular beer here in more detail in brew review time later on. But yeah, go ahead and tug on whatever you're drinking here. It's your time to kick back, relax. Okay, this is the opposite of work here at Movies Merica. Spoiler warning, okay? So it's your chance to kick back, relax, chill, especially if you're a movie fan like me, because that's why I like to put Movies Merica spoiler warning on, is because it doesn't just give me a chance to just bloviate and talk and discuss and get all deep all up in some movies. That sounded a little dirtier than I wanted it to, but you get what I mean, right? You know, sometimes you see movies, especially like classic beloved movies like Backdraft, and you want to do more. You want to say more than just, yeah, I liked it. It's good. Okay, who wants Chinese? You want to say more about the movie than that. You like the movie. The movie had a profound, like, emotional and/or psychological effect on you. And so, yeah, you want to talk about it. You want to discuss it ad nauseum, right? Now, if you may have noticed, I'm kind of like getting choked up and all that stuff right here. I'm fighting. I'm like on hopefully the last stages of cold, and so I'm all congested up a little bit, and throat's kind of sore. So it's like I was getting kind of itchy tickle here that gets me on the verge of coughing, or you're gonna hear me coughing, I'm sure, throughout the show here because that's stupid cold here. But 'tis the season, all right. And apparently, I hung around with the wrong person that had a cold, and hey, they were just feeling generous and decided to give it to me here. And so, not only do I get to enjoy the cold, you do if you're watching this show. Oh, right here, okay. But let's get into some Backdraft, okay. So first off, awesome movie, fantastic movie. Not a movie that I would expect from Ron Howard. Okay, I mean, I knew Ron Howard up until Backdraft, where he's the director of Splash and Gung Ho and Parenthood and Cocoon. And Cocoon was probably the closest to a drama that he'd done, but even Cocoon had its comedic moments. So mostly Ron Howard was like a comedic director. In the comedies he made were hilarious. Like I said, Night Shift, Splash, Parenthood, Gung Ho, and then he comes out with Backdraft and threw me for a loop. I'm like, whoa, Ron Howard doing a serious movie? And it kind of reminds me of what's his face here? The oh God. The guy who did Anchorman and Talladega Nights and Step Brothers, the director there. He always works with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, where he did all those funny movies. And then he went ahead and did a movie like, what was it? Not Spotlight here. Let me do this here real quick. I'm going to cheat. And look that up right here. But it kind of reminds me of like that departure from a style that we know of here. So Adam McKay, that's who it was. Adam McKay. Adam McKay. And so, yeah, he did. Okay. So he did the other guys. He did, Step Brothers, Talladega Nights, Anchorman. And then he switches it up by going with doing The Big Shorts. Okay, about like the 2008, housing bubble, busting the housing bubble. It did Vice, and so he started to do serious movies, and so it kind of throws you for a loop. Like, whoa, this is Adam McKay, the same guy. He did Cannonball, and Talladega Nights, like Shake and Bake, man, and if you're not first, you're last, and so all these funny movies, all these funny moments, and then he goes and he starts doing kind of more serious fare like that. And so it's the same way with Ron Howard. He just all of a sudden comes on with Backdraft. And Backdraft has very few comedic elements to it. So it's quite the drama, but it's fantastic. And it's got a hard edge to it. Excuse me. It's got, it's got some violence. It's got some shocking, jarring images in it there. I mean, I still remember the very first time I watched Backdraft, and that guy he's walking up the steps to his house, opens up the door, and that Backdraft just explodes, and it just torches him, burns him. The force is so strong and knocks him back and right into the windshield of his Porsche. And Ron Howard does like these kind of nuanced moments, or not these nuanced moments, but kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of these little touches in the movie. And one of the little touches he does is when that guy, he gets out of his Porsche, shuts the door, and he hits his little he hits his key to lock the Porsche, and you can kind of see the guy's looking at his Porsche with kind of like desire and pride, and that's my Porsche right there. Yeah, oh, man, I'm so happy, man. I've got this Porsche right here. Life is sweet, and then that's the very same Porsche that 5 seconds later on he's getting completely just charbroiled and Kentucky fried and blown right back into and launched back into right through the windshield of that beloved Porsche right there. And that whole scene was shocking because it comes from out of nowhere, right? There. I mean, up until that point in this movie, it's just been kind of a, hey, a happy-go-lucky kind of movie. You got Brian McCaffrey, played by Billy Baldwin, and Jason Gedrick playing Tim, and they're at the bar and they're getting their station assignments, having a good time, and and then he had the cold open to the movie, where it's young Brian, young Stephen. They're going out, or Brian is at least going out on a call with his dad. His dad dies, so it's that so far. But then again, it goes to the celebratory scene with Billy Baldwin and Jason Gedrick. They're celebrating graduating from the firefighting academy. It's a good time. And then you've got this guy, and then all of a sudden he opens up his door and boom, kablammy! He just gets blown right back into his Porsche and gets charbroiled in the process. And it throws you for a loop. But it's one of those moments where like, all right, this isn't Ron Howard making a sequel to Splash 2. This is a serious movie here. Okay, drama and shocking violence, and so you have that going on, and then of course you've got like the fire effects in this, and just the scope, the grand scale, the grand scope of the fire calls that they go on. They go to factories in Chicago, and of course, if you've ever been to Chicago, it's very easy to believe that there's factory fires because there's factories all over Chicago. Okay, Chicago is like a city populated and completely awash in early 20th century factory buildings and churches and offices and all that, and it's got a lot of old style, old school buildings of whatever sort, right? And so in this movie, they have calls of these factories, chemical factories and textile factories, and the fire in these factories is just so widespread and violent, and now they do Hollywood up the fire a little bit because like fire, it doesn't crawl across the floor like you see in this movie. So that's unrealistic right there, but that's Hollywood, right? They take dramatic license to basically create cool moments, right? And so for the fire that Backdraft has on the floor, what that actually was is they filmed fire up on the ceiling, and then they just inverted the footage to make it look like it was fire on the floor right there. So anyway, to that, I'm going to drink up here because my voice is getting parched. And that might be why it's going to be a little shorter episode here tonight, but all right. So, and again, like I said, this is your chance to talk on, all about Backdraft or any Ron Howard movie, really, or, any kind of movie that you want, period. I mean, who am I to say what you can chat about right there? And so, yeah, you can live chat on YouTube, live chat on Rumble. Okay, get on there and live chat it up. And I know people don't have time to, get into the live chat and start writing paragraphs of stuff in the live chat here. But even if you're lurking right now or something like that, and you're like, hey, I don't want to get in the live chat because Van's going to expect me to write whole sentences and paragraphs of stuff in live chat. Wrong. That's where you're wrong already. Okay. So no, if you just put a thumbs up in the live chat or a crap emoji or whatever, or you just say hi in the live chat, that's totally fine. And if you go away after that, hey, that's cool. I'd rather have you stick around, but hey, I understand people are busy. But yeah, so again, you can get in the live chat on YouTube and Rumble and give me a thumbs up. So everybody right now, everyone watching live, okay, do this. All right. Get in the live chat. All right. And just give me a thumbs up. That's it. That's all you got to do. And if you need to go away after that and never live chat, for the rest of the show, totally cool. Totally cool. I totally understand that right there. Okay. So one thing that I noticed in this movie is, Scott Glenn, he plays, Adcox, right? And his character, Scott Glenn's Adcox character, must have really no ambition whatsoever, because remember at the beginning of Backdraft here where they had that cold open and you've got Brian and Stephen as little kids, and Brian and their dad takes Brian on a call with him, right? And they get to the location, and at that point when Brian is like 9 years old or however old he is in that scene, Scott Glenn's character of Adcox is a grown man. He's on the team with their dad. Dennis McCaffrey is their dad's name, and so he's already like a grown ass man on the team when Kurt Russell's Stephen character and Billy Baldwin's Brian character are little kids. All right, and then you fast forward, 20 years or whatever it is, and it's 1991, right? And of course, Kurt Russell and Stephen's a grown man, and Billy Baldwin or Brian, he's a grown man as well. And now Stephen McCaffrey, who was like still a little kid back 20 years ago when Scott Glenn was already a grown man on the team. Now Stephen is Kurt Russell's boss. He's his lieutenant. And you would think, like, wait, Scott Glenn, his character, Adcox, he's been on the force for at least, I've been on the fire department for at least 20 years, earlier than Stephen. And Stephen's his boss. And so you would think, like, Scott Glenn would be, Adcox would be like a fire commissioner or, working in an office, or he'd be a lieutenant at least or something like that. But apparently not. And so, yeah, Adcox must be the most unambitious firefighter in the world, okay, or whatever, in Chicago or whatever, okay. And maybe I was thinking about, maybe it's like Tom Cruise in Top Gun Maverick, as Pete Maverick Mitchell, right? He's still a captain, in that movie, and people are saying, well, you should at least be an admiral by this point, okay. And and the reason that he was still a captain is because he knew that if he went up too far in rank, he would have to give up his wings and he couldn't fly anymore. So if he becomes an admiral, yeah, see ya, goodbye, jet fighters. You don't get to be up there in a plane anymore. And he loves flying. So maybe it was like something like that with Adcox. He just loves being on the hose and fighting fires, and he wants to be in the thick of it. He wants to be in the fire, and maybe that's why there. But it looks like, hey, even if you were a lieutenant, you're still fighting fire. So even that theory of mine doesn't really hold water whatsoever here. But let me double check something here real quick here. Want to make sure the video is good to go and all that, because I know that sometimes when I'm doing these shows, the video can be crappy. Okay, because on Sunday's episode where I did the spoiler-free review of Backdraft right there, the video quality in like the first 10 minutes of that show was shit. Okay, and for that I apologize, but sometimes that happens right here. But let me do this here. You might hear the show here in the background for a second. There we go. All right, so I've got that on right there. Just wanted to get that going on. All right, yeah, that video looks good. All right, there we go. I think we're tip top for right now. And all right, good to go. Good to go. All right, so just got to make sure everything is in order here on this show, because I don't want to just sound good, which I undoubtedly do. I'm sure you guys love my velvety, smooth, butter-like voice. But you want to see me in a nice, clear fashion without pixelization and buffering and looking like complete dog shit. You want the picture to look good, right? Of course, I get it. I know my audience of millions, of course. There you go. So something else about Backdraft. You're like, God, Van, just go back to talk about Backdraft. You sound like a complete asshole right now. But I thought this was cool that we did have a reunion of performers, of actors in Backdraft. So we got a reunion of Kurt Russell and JT Walsh in this movie right here. And let me do this here real quick. I'm just gonna do this. Let's do this because you might not really know who JT Walsh is. So now cinephiles, movie buffs like me, they know who JT Walsh is here. So let's do this here, and there we go. I'm trying to find a good picture of both Kurt Russell, and there we go. That's a good one. Yeah, that's from Tequila Sunrise. No, that's a bad one. That's a bad one. Let's do this here. So let's do this. Oh, here's a good one. This will just show you. Yeah, let's get that going on here. So let me do this here. Do a little share. All right. There we go. And check that out. All right. Let's actually make that a little bit bigger here. That looks like crap. All right. Let's see here. Let's do this. All right. Nope, that's not good. All right, let's do live. That looks good. Okay, there we go. All right. I was worried that it would be too small where you guys wouldn't be able to see that. But you can see that's JT Walsh over there on the far right there. That's JT Walsh. As you can see, you probably recognize like I don't know what the first picture is from, but the second picture there from the left, that's him in A Few Good Men. Third one over is Backdraft. The fourth one over, can't quite remember what movie that's from there, but yeah. So that's JT Walsh, and so yeah, him and Kurt Russell, yeah, they had a nice little reunion of sorts there in Backdraft, because they were in Tequila Sunrise together, and then of course Backdraft, and then later on they'd be in the movie Breakdown, where JT Walsh plays yet another slimy bad guy, because that's kind of JT Walsh's MO. He was kind of like Gary Oldman, where their career is pretty much filled, or mostly filled with them playing bad guys, right? And JT Walsh is pretty good, pretty good actor there. Unfortunately, he died way too early in 1998 of a heart attack. Okay, so he died 7 years after Backdraft was released. But he got the gig on Backdraft because Jennifer Jason Leigh, who was also in Backdraft, recommended JT Walsh, because JT Walsh actually was her mentor. And so she was like, hey, you know what? I want JT Walsh here to play the role of Alderman Swayzak in this. And I thought JT Walsh did a pretty good job, because he always does a masterful job at playing those slimy, sleazy, skeezy characters there. So, all right, let's do this here real quick. And again, let me remind you guys that you guys can get in the live chat and talk all about Backdraft with me right here, or talk about any movie, really, to be honest with you there. So let's do this. All right, excellent. So let me double check some information here and get everything in order. There we go. All right. So, hey, just want to remind everybody that there is this thing on my show, just like there is on most other streaming shows, called a like button. Yes, that's a like button. I want you to like me, and I want you to like my show. So to show me that you like my show, go ahead and hit the likey button down there, okay? And then also, while you're clicking buttons there, if you haven't already, click the subscribe or follow button, okay? And then right next to that, there is a notification bell button, and you can click on that. And what that's simply going to do is it's going to send you an email notification whenever there's a fresh, piping hot, sizzling, delicious, scrumptious, scrumdiddly-umptious new episode of Movies Merica waiting just for you, or coming up soon. Okay, right there for you. I don't know why I just did that with my face. It's a little weird. I've been told I have a very expressive face when I talk. There, like I move my mouth around a lot when I talk. There, I'm not talking. I don't talk like that. You can barely see my mouth move. Okay, I don't do that. I'm very expressive when I talk. So, but yes. So go ahead and hit those buttons now. Only click the subscribe or follow and the notification bell buttons if you haven't already, okay? Next, and then also I should mention that for any of you watching this episode, or the recording of it, I should say, anyone watching this not live, well, we can still communicate back and forth with each other. We just have to do it via the comments section that's down below, okay? And you can let me know, stuff like, hey, you think I'm doing a great job, or you think I'm doing a terrible job, you think I'm kind of somewhere in the middle, I'm kind of meh, whatever. Or if you want to let me know of a movie you want me to review, or let me know what you think of Backdraft, or, hey, what's your favorite Kurt Russell movie? Anything, all right? The point is you get to comment about whatever you want down in the comments section down below right there. And I'd love to hear from you. And I do read the comments. I know a lot of people say that, and they really don't. They really, really don't. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that creepy Biden-like whisper right there. But I do. Okay. Because I'm always searching around. I'm always in the hopes like, ooh, maybe it's maybe it's a compliment. Maybe someone's singing my praises, and it'll be a nice little ego boost. I'm always looking for that. And then sometimes I read them and like, oh yeah, another death threat. So no, no, I don't get death threats yet. Okay, because I don't really talk about anything that controversial. Okay, I'm not like a political show for the most part. Where I have all these takes that literally make people want to send you death threats and send you dead rats in a shoebox in the mail. But I don't talk about stuff that provokes those kind of reactions. I don't think so. But anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to remind you all about the like button and the subscribe, follow button, and the notification bell button and the comments button, comments section, I should say, right there. Okay, so all right, let's get into some more. Okay, so another thing that that you should know is, and this is, I don't know, this may or may not be relevant. You may not even care. But I thought it was kind of intriguing that with Backdraft, it did come out a little bit after Silence of the Lambs came out earlier that same year, 1991. But you do have in Backdraft, you do have a quid pro quo little subplot, just like you do in Silence of the Lambs, where you got Clarice Starling, played by Jodie Foster, and she's talking to Hannibal Lecter, and they're doing the quid pro quo, because remember Hannibal Lecter, that was his idea, right? He didn't want Clarice just to come up and just start interviewing him, right? He was like, oh, whoa, hey, pump the brakes there, FBI trainee, all right? If you want to interview me, I'm going to get something out of it too, all right? You do right by me, I do right by you. Quid pro quo, all right? So tit for tat, or I do something for you, you do something for me. Quid pro quo. Obviously that's basically what that means in Latin, right? And so Jodie Foster is of course trying to catch Buffalo Bill, and she wants to go interview another madman, and so of course Hannibal Lecter is who she goes to for that upon instructions from her boss, played by Scott Glenn, in Silence of the Lambs, who, of course, Scott Glenn is also in Backdraft. Okay, so, but I thought it was interesting that, yes, there's the quid pro quo in Backdraft is when Billy Baldwin's Brian McCaffrey character goes and talks to, who is it? Donald Sutherland's character plays, I think, Ed, or something like that. The guy is always calling Robert De Niro's character Shadow, right? So here you go. I'm going to cheat again. Here we go. Backdraft. I'm going to kick myself when I see Donald Sutherland's character's name, because I'll be like, oh, come on, man. Duh. So here we go. Ronald. There we go. Ronald. Yep. So yeah, his character is Ronald. So when Brian goes and interviews Ronald there in prison, trying to get Ronald's take on, trying to figure out if Ronald maybe would know who the arsonist is, right? He's bringing all the evidence to Ronald, and Ronald's like, no. Again, like Lecter, Ronald's like, no. Okay, I do for you, you do for me, all right? And so he wants to do the quid pro quo thing, and so when Ronald's like, hey, did the fire look at you? Did it look at you? Oh my God, what a treat! It did look at you, and it's like you thought, oh man, you were right there. You looked into the fire, and you saw your dad burn, and so it's just like this combustible, controversial kind of quid pro quo going back and forth between Ronald and Brian in the scene, just like with Lecter and Starling in Silence of the Lambs. And so, but now Backdraft, they didn't get that quid pro quo from Silence of the Lambs, at least not the movie. Maybe they got it from the book, but from Thomas Harris, who wrote Silence of the Lambs. But yeah, I just thought that was kind of interesting. A couple of movies in 1991, kind of throwing the quid pro quo into the movies there. But again, like I said, that's not the only similarity. That's not the only link between Backdraft and The Silence of the Lambs. Like I said, Scott Glenn was in both movies there. And this is a good year for Scott Glenn. Scott Glenn was in a couple of high-profile movies, and I like this character in, obviously, Silence of the Lambs. It was kind of like a mentor to Clarice Starling there as her boss. And then, he was, then of course, this character was seemingly was a cool, down-to-earth guy in Backdraft. And then we find out, well, no, he's not so cool, not so down-to-earth. He's going out there and murdering people, with backdrafts there. So anyway, I'm going to tug off my beer here. Oh, yeah. Excellent. Now, actually, one thing you might want to do, so if you like Backdraft, there is a video on YouTube where it talks about like all these locations where Backdraft was filmed, like the firehouses and some of the factories that they filmed at. And it's kind of interesting because here 34 years later, you can see, oh yeah, that firehouse that they use is still there, and oh, that one's not there anymore, and oh, this location isn't there, and or that one is. And so it's kind of interesting to see that and there. And it's also, I that's one reason I like to go to Chicago is I like to look at, go and check out, just drive around Chicago, like, oh yeah, I remember that location was in this movie that was in Chicago. And so I think of, movies like Chicago movies like Code of Silence and The Fugitive, Above the Law, The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. God, all kinds of countless movies there in Chicago. About Last Night is a good Chicago movie directed by Edward Zwick, who's from Chicago. They're the Blues Brothers. Excuse me. Which Blues Brothers is probably one of the more famous Chicago movies because it covers so much landscape around Chicago. And then, of course, like I said, I already said Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and it's got just so much choreography, so much Chicago geography in it as well. So it's very, very cool. But so that's why I like going to Chicago, so you can see stuff, like the Picasso sculpture downtown, or you can go see Lower Wacker Drive and see the bridges across the Chicago River and see great, landmarks, the Tribune Building and the Wrigley Building and all that, and what used to be the Sears Tower, and God knows what the Sears Tower is called now. They keep changing the name of it, I think, every 5 minutes. But I love the fact that Backdraft is set in Chicago. It makes sense. Chicago seems Chicago just kind of has that blue collar feel and aura about it, where making a firefighter movie in Chicago just seems right. Making a firefighter movie in Beverly Hills, that doesn't seem right? Or a firefighter movie in Miami. I'm like, what? This would feel wrong, right? But Chicago, it makes sense. We're in Chicago, okay? And we like our firefighters in Chicago. So it made sense. And then also, I think the writer of Backdraft, there was a Gregory Wyden. Yeah, Gregory Wyden, who was a firefighter in real life, who wrote the screenplay to Backdraft. I think he was not only a firefighter, he was a Chicago firefighter there. So, and that was one of those things, very, very cool to check that out and see what he has to say about that there. So let me double check here. I want to check out here. All right, excellent. So just getting my ducks in a row. There we go. Absolutely. Because I'm trying to run a tight ship up in here. There we go. Get rid of that. All right, do a little maintenance. Want to make sure I don't kill the right thing, or kill the wrong thing, I should say. All right. Well, let's do this here real quick, all right, because I'm getting very, very thirsty. And maybe you guys want to hear more about beer than you guys want to hear about Backdraft. That's totally possible. Totally possible. It's hard for me to fathom because Backdraft is a great movie, but Backdraft and beer are both excellent, depending on the beer, I should say. So, but anyway, as you could probably tell, where I'm going is brew review time. All right, say hello to the check yourself, Czech style Pilsner here. Let me turn that around. I get looking the right way. There we go. Yeah, check yourself. Let me get that condensation. I don't want it dripping on my keyboard. So yeah, so check yourself, Czech style lager from Head Flyer Brewing, and that Head Flyer Brewing is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So the place where George Floyd kicked his drug habit. And yeah, this is cool. I like the name. Check yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. And it comes to us with an alcohol by volume quantity of 5% and 24, I believe, on the IBU scale. Your IBU stands for International Bitterness Units. Basically, how bitter is the beer, right? And so 24 is relatively low as far as the bitterness there for this particular beer. And so yeah, it's like a crisp, clean lager, and it's brewed with Sterling hops and then Saz or Saz hops. I've never figured out how to pronounce that, Saz or Saz. It's spelled Saaz, but it's Saz or Saz hops are hops that are grown in the Czech Republic. Hence, that's why I call it Czech style Pilsner there. And so it gives it like a straw golden color to it. And then supposedly the marketing says it has a fresh aroma of spring. All right, like the nose, gives you the fresh aroma of spring. Like I said, I'm on the last legs, hopefully, of a cold, so I can't smell shit. Okay, so I can't I don't really smell a whole lot there with that. But let me double check something here. All right. Yep, I'm frozen up again, aren't I? Yeah, let me do that. Let's do this. Yep, okay. Do live. Yep, I'm frozen up again, aren't I? Yeah, that video looks like crap. Okay, all right. Well, let's do this. I'm going to kill some tabs here. See if that frees things up. There we go. Because I just noticed that out of the right corner of my right eye, I should say. This video is not looking so hot. Not at all. Okay. There we go. Well, I'm going to do this. Let's do that. See if that looks better. Nope, that still looks like crap. All right, let's get this over here. As I keep holding up this beer. Yeah, I hate that because it's like, you at least want to be able to count on, when you watch a show here, that the video is fine. Yep, okay, so no. Let's see here. That's a little bit better. Okay. Let's do that. Okay. There we go. I think that's better. I just had to get rid of some tabs here. I know it's let me do this. We'll do live. Yeah, there we go. Apparently, I have a Mac Mini here from Apple. I know Apple is a small up-and-coming company here, and they just haven't figured everything out there at Apple. So apparently, having tabs here open, internet tabs here, apparently it can't handle that, and so it slows everything down right there. So that's fantastic. All right, let me stop that. Stop that. There we go. See if that works. Okay. Anyway, so let's get back to the brew. We'll see. Let me know in the live chat if after a minute or two if the video still looks like shit there. So, but anyway, so yes, so this the look of the beer, and you can't really tell because I still have it in the can. It's got like this golden color to it, like this light lemon yellow color to it. Of course, it's got the head. You pour the head, you got the white head on there. So no, not a zit. I'm talking about the head on the beer is white there. So, and also I like to. I'm kind of trying to start doing this when I do the brew reviews here. I like to let you guys know like good foods, dishes, good dishes that pair well with the beer that I am talking about here. And this particular beer does pair well with stuff like any kind of Thai curry dishes there, like yellow curry or green curry there. Also like roast chicken or roast pork, fish and chips there, or as we call them, fish and French fries here in America. And then of course pizza. Okay, this goes great with pizza there. So yeah, go ahead and check yourself out there, and before you wreck yourself, okay? And as you can tell, I'm recommending the Czech style Pilsner from Head Flyer Brewing in the greater Minneapolis, Minnesota area right there. So now if you go up to Minneapolis and to go pick yourself up some, might want to wear a bulletproof vest, maybe go in like a Prowler military vehicle, because it's kind of turning into a war zone, unfortunately, in Minneapolis. One of our great American cities, or formerly great American cities, is turning into a criminal. It's a criminal infested shithole, basically. So, so that's why I say take precautions. Okay, ask yourself, is this check yourself beer worth it? So there you go. All right. So hey, on that not at all controversial note, that has been Brew Review Time. Okay, I think the video is looking better, and I hesitate to say that because if I say that, then that's when my video is going to go back to looking like dog shit there, because I'll say that, and then the gods of live streaming will like, oh hey Van, do you think your video's looking good? Your video quality's looking good? Well, check this out, and it's going to go back to looking like shit. Hey, we got Sean Cav rating the stream, and hey, thank you. You gifted one subscription to Movies Merica up in here. I appreciate that to my good buddy Sean. And hey, if you're on Rumble, go ahead and take the time to look up Sean Cav on Rumble right there and check out all his great content here. And of course, my good buddy Lindy Reg 87 is also in here as well, and he's here for the chatting. There we go. Exactly. We got we're very chatty up in this show right here, and good to see you guys here. And check out Lindy Rig as well on Backdraft. Hey, Lindy Rig was in Backdraft. Who knew? No, in Rumble. If you go to Rumble and just search for Lindy Rig and check out Lindy Rig and all his great content in there. Here, I'm not a video gamer at all there, or a gamer, or whatever the parlance is here, but that's one thing I like about watching Lindy Rig, some of the content that he does, because he plays like some pretty cool looking video games, which it looks especially cool to me because, like I said, I'm not a gamer, and so like they'll go like a long period of time, between when I see video games being played and then the next time I see video games being played. And when I see some of the video games he plays, I'm like, oh my god. Look at the video on that. Look at the clarity. Look at the realism on that video. Wow. Now I don't play video games because I wouldn't be able to discipline myself to stop playing them when I need to be doing more productive things. All right. So I would be that proverbial loser, in my mommy's basement playing video games all the time when I should be working or something like that. So there you go. Hey, John H20 double H2 double. I want to say H2004. There you go. Like you're a British agent right there asking, did I see Backdraft? I don't know, John. You're gonna have to figure it out for yourself. Did you see Backdraft? I hope for your sake you did, because that's a great one. Later I was in Backdraft, uncredited, unfortunately. So you can't prove me wrong. Yeah, he was like that. You see him like, don't blink or you'll miss it. He was like in the back of the fire engine there, and then he was out there like kind of helping out with the hose and all that stuff right there. So I get it. I get it right there. Absolutely. So that'd be fantastic. But hey, at least you can say you were in Backdraft, even though you were uncredited, obviously, right there. So I can guarantee you did better acting than Billy Baldwin did in that movie as Brian McCaffrey right there. Because this is supposed to be like Billy Baldwin's big moment, right? He was like trying to live up to, his older brother Alec Baldwin, because by this time Alec Baldwin was like a kind of a relatively well-known actor. He had been in Hunt for Red October the year before. He was in she's having a baby, Working Girl. He was in Married to the Mob. He was in Miami Blues, and then the Hunt for Red October with him playing Jack Ryan was like his biggest role at that point. So Alec Baldwin was an established Hollywood star, and then Billy Baldwin was like, "Hey man, I want to be a big star too, like my big brother Alec." And so yeah, Backdraft was supposed to be his big moment, and he failed because his acting is so wooden and so stale in this thing. So he's completely outacted by Kurt Russell. I mean, Kurt Russell's got so much charisma in this, so absolutely. Yeah, it's getting spicy in the live chat. Oh, John saying the only hose Lindy plays with is his own. Yeah, you can tell, John, when I was saying that, I was like trying to think of like a good way to phrase that, to make it, kind of spicy there. And I couldn't quite get it, but you got what I was saying, John. You were picking up what I was putting down there. And Lindy Rig, I think my cat left some better acting in the litter box. Yeah, exactly. Comparing kitty litter to Billy Baldwin's acting in the Backdraft is an insult to kitty litter. That's for sure. So let me do this here real quick. I'm just gonna double check some here. I want to do this. Pop out chat. Nope. Okay, there we go. Thought I was missing something there. I'm missing nothing at all. All right. And hey, in the live chat there, if you've seen Backdraft, like hey, if you want to let me know like your favorite scene in Backdraft, or what you thought was cool about Backdraft, or hey, maybe you thought Backdraft sucked, and let me know a reason why. Okay, I think one of the weak points of Backdraft is I think they could have gotten a hotter actress than Jennifer Jason Leigh. Okay, now don't get me wrong. Jennifer Jason Leigh, she's back in the 90s and the 80s. All right. I mean, she was completely spankable. I get it. I mean, but she wasn't like a total smoke show, right? Now, they have a total smoke show in Backdraft in the form of Rebecca De Mornay. I mean, come on. Risky Business, anyone? All right. Or the movie Guilty as Sin that came out, I think, like 2 years after Backdraft. If you want to see super ultimate, like surface of the sun hot Rebecca De Mornay, check out either Risky Business or Guilty as Sin, or The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. She was pretty hot in that movie as well. Of course, she's in Backdraft, and so she's a complete smoke show. Jennifer Jason Leigh is kind of like, all right, you couldn't have got somebody, but you couldn't have got Jennifer Connelly. She was around back then. Kelly Preston. Rest in peace, Kelly Preston. The hot blonde from Twins, Kelly Preston. Could have got her, but anyway. So, but yeah, you deal with what you deal with, right there, and yeah, especially when her panties came off that hose, right there. So yeah, yeah, that was a little shock right there. I like that little. I'm trying to figure out like what were they doing up there, like where her. I think it was her bra actually, but her bra get caught, around the fire hose. Like literally, you would think like you'd have to like take the bra. You'd have to like anyway. So I'm probably thinking about it way too much there in this movie there. So all right, let's do this here real quick and double check it. Something. Let me check that video quality here. Make sure it doesn't look like crap again. I think it's good. Right there. Okay, nice. I just had to I guess I just had to, I had to shut down that 1997 56K modem I was using there that I used to, that I was using, and take out the America Online CD-ROM that I was using for all my free 70,000 hours of internet access, and actually get a decent broadband modem right here. So hopefully that helps out with the video quality there. But let's do this here. I want to salute a veteran. I mean, wouldn't you want to salute a veteran? Wouldn't you want to honor a veteran? Doesn't that sound like a great thing to do? Well, I'm going to do that right now. And of course, what I'm referring to is my weekly segment that I do as part of Movies Merica, spoiler warning, the movie military moment. And that's where I give myself a few minutes to honor a recipient of the Congressional Medal of Honor. Okay. Now, right now, some of you might be like, some of you critically thinking people might be wondering, Van, that's a great gesture and all. I appreciate you honoring a military veteran in whatever capacity you can. But question, what the hell does it have to do with movies, dude? All right. And I shall tell you, okay, you will get a full explanation as to the relevance of that after this. All right, so I owe you an explanation. So the connection between me honoring veterans there and movies is, as you would imagine, if you are awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, okay, you didn't get it for being the best booger picker on the base. You didn't get it for nailing the general's wife. Okay, you didn't get it for being the best letter sorter at the base post office. Okay, you got it for doing something like monumental. Okay, something that would just make your eyes pop out of your head if you saw it in real life, right? Okay, you're doing something like you're a helicopter pilot in NAM, right? You're flying a Huey, and your responsibility is you're flying supplies to the troops, deep in the shit, right? They're in the bush fighting the VC, and so you fly in supplies and you evac the wounded, right? And you're going into the bush. You're going in there doing your job, and the landing zone, or LZ, is deemed too hot, meaning like that LZ has got so much incoming fire from the enemy, right? They're shooting at it. They're launching RPGs at this LZ, and when an LZ is considered too hot, you can't land a helicopter there, okay? And so you're like, yeah, but I don't care, all right? We've got men. We got wounded down there. I got to evac the wounded. I got to get this ammo, all these supplies to our soldiers. Otherwise, they're going to be decimated. All right, it's going to be more meat for the grinder. I got to get down there. And your commanding officer is on the squawk box on the radio going, "You get that chopper back here right now, Colonel. All right, you don't pay for that. The taxpayers do." And you're like, "Sir, I can't do it, man. I got to get the supplies down to the men. I got to evac the wounded." And you land your Huey in that hot LZ, and you're taking small arms fire. They're launching RPGs at you, and you're landing there and evacuating the wounded and dropping supplies off back and forth over and over again without any concern for your safety. And the soldiers that you're doing this, you're supplying and evacuating their wounded for, they're like, "I can't believe this guy. This is amazing. This is a momentous. Wow, what a great guy." And again, their eyes are popping out of their head. And also, if you were like viewing this moment on a big movie screen in front of you, it would be a momentous, eye-popping movie military moment. Okay. And that's the connection right there. All right. There you go. Okay. And so with that here, let's not waste any more time in honoring our movie military moment honoree for today. And that is going to be Master Sergeant Vito R. Bertoldo from World War II. And hopefully I am saying Vito's last name correctly there. And so let's learn more about Vito R. Bertoldo Should we? Or shall we? Or anyway, all right, I'm moving on. But I think that a Congressional Medal of Honor recipient deserves their own movie military moment music. Don't you? I think so. So let's take care of that right now. This is the movie military moment. And in this movie military moment, we pay tribute to Master Sergeant Vito R. Bertoldo, who was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. And let's find out more about Master Sergeant Bertoldo, shall we? He fought with extreme gallantry while guarding 2 command posts against the assault of powerful infantry and armored forces, which had overrun the battalion's main line of resistance. On the close approach of enemy soldiers, he left the protection of the building he defended and set up his gun in the street, there to remain for almost 12 hours, driving back attacks while in full view of his adversaries and completely exposed to 88mm machine gun and small arms fire. He moved back inside the command post, strapped his machine gun to a table, and covered the main approach to the building by firing through a window, remaining steadfast even in the face of 88mm fire from tanks only 75 yards away. One shell blasted him across the room, but he returned to his weapon. When 2 enemy personnel carriers, led by a tank, moved towards his position, he calmly waited for the troops to dismount, and then, with the tank firing directly at him, leaned out of the window and mowed down the entire group of more than 20 Germans. Sometime later, removal of the command post to another building was ordered. Master Sergeant Bertoldo voluntarily remained behind, covering the withdrawal of his comrades and maintaining his stand all night. In the morning, he carried his machine gun to an adjacent building used as the command post of another battalion and began a day-long defense of that position. He broke up a heavy attack launched by a self-propelled 88mm gun covered by a tank and about 15 infantrymen. Soon afterward, another 88mm weapon moved up to within a few feet of his position and, placing the muzzle of its gun almost inside the building, fired into the room, knocking him down and seriously wounding others. An American bazooka team set the German weapon afire, and Master Sergeant Bertoldo went back to his machine gun, dazed as he was, and killed several of the hostile troops as he attempted to withdraw. It was decided to evacuate the command post under the cover of darkness, but before the plan could be put into operation, the enemy began an intensive assault supported by fire from their tanks and heavy guns. Disregarding the devastating barrage, he remained at his post and hurled white phosphorus grenades into the advancing enemy troops until they broke and retreated. A tank less than 50 yards away fired at his stronghold, destroyed the machine gun, and blew him across the room again. But he once more returned to the bitter fight and with the rifle single-handedly covered the withdrawal of his fellow soldiers when the post was finally abandoned. With inspiring bravery and intrepidity, Master Sergeant Bertoldo withstood the attack of vastly superior forces for more than 48 hours without rest or relief, time after time, escaping death only by the slightest margin while killing at least 40 hostile soldiers, wounding many more during his grim battle against the enemy hordes. And we salute you, Master Sergeant Vito R. Bertoldo, for your badassery in the face of all that danger right there. And so, that has been the movie Military Moments. All right. Doesn't that make you ask yourself, what have I done today? Okay. when you're learning about what Master Sergeant Bertoldo did, I mean, that guy, he was facing all this 88mm round fire, which, if you know 88mm rounds, not small. Those things are sizable. Okay. There you go. Very, very daunting, very, very powerful. there. And so it's wow, incredible. And then he's facing tanks and all that there. And then he volunteers to stay behind and cover the retreat. Impressive right there. Okay. And hey, if you guys don't want to have to wait to hear about these great stories, when I do my movie military moment, well, you can go to the website. The website is cmohs.org/recipients and read all about these guys yourself. There's a ton of them. It just has all the Congressional Medal of Honor honorees in there. So it's very, very cool. So I like going there and checking stuff out, especially like when I'm not feeling motivated, where I'm like, I'd rather just slough off on my couch and just do nothing. And then you come in here and you read some of these citations like, man, you lazy asshole, get up, get off that couch, man. Come on, go do something, all right? So on that very inspirational note, that has been the movie military moment. All right, let me do this here real quick and let's check something out. And let's do this. You know what? I'm gonna. There we go. There we go. Share that up here and get out of there. All right, get out of there. All right, there we go. And so John, you are right. I was thinking of We Were Soldiers, that movie. All right, let me change that up here. There we go. That's better. Because it was Hal Moore was the Mel Gibson character, Colonel Hal Moore there, and then it was who was the Greg Kinnear character that was flying the chopper there? God, I'm like kicking myself for not knowing that helicopter pilot's name. I think they call him Snake Shit in the movie. It keep on to say his name is Hal or something like that. Let me look that up here. I owe it to Greg Kinnear's character to give him his proper flowers in this show right here. Let's see. What is his name? Major Bruce Crandall. Yeah, Major Bruce Crandall. The helicopter pilot in We Were Soldiers there. And yeah, he did win the Congressional Medal of Honor in real life right there. And he was played by Greg Kinnear, I should say. And if you have not seen We Were Soldiers, then yeah, you definitely got to check that movie out. That movie will hit you. Okay, because We Were Soldiers, that's a movie where it holds nothing back. It's like got some of the most grotesque, graphically violent war fighting that I've ever seen in my life. And some of it will hit you right here. And it's got some really cool, just the war footage, just the choreography of the war, of the war fighting in that. I love, there's a great shot in We Were Soldiers before they get to the Idrang Valley where the fighting's at, and you just see like this armada of Hueys, these choppers, and you have this great shot where it shows like the Hueys coming right at you like this, and it's like Huey after Huey after Huey after Huey coming at you they're coming out of the screen. It's really cool, and then I love. What on that same helicopter trip, they're like, all right, time to do map of the earth. You just see these Hueys and they just start diving down in this very steep dive down to get below enemy radar right there. Awesome movie. So yeah, We Were Soldiers. It's a great movie. And yeah, it's talking about the first major conflict between American troops and Vietnamese troops. And it's Mel Gibson taking the airborne troops, and it's the first time where they go there. They face the Vietnamese troops, and they used Hueys helicopters, and they call it, and even the Vietnamese call them the helicopter soldiers there. But Fantastic, fantastic movie. It's a good movie to show you, to kind of illustrate how it's not only the soldiers going over there that bear the burden of war. It's like their spouses, their wives, because their wives are like hoping to God that their husbands come back. So it's a very emotional movie. So, but yeah, We Were Soldiers, fantastic movie right there. So yeah, great mention there, John, right there. And Lady Ray 87, obviously agrees right there. It's a fantastic, great movie right there. So, hey, just to let you guys know here real quick here, I'm just going to take a minute or so to beg for money. Well, kind of. Okay. So, no, I just want to let you guys know that, hey, if you guys are enjoying this show here enough to where, hey, you want to throw a buck or two my way, hey, far, be it from me to actually stop you from doing that. And the way you do that in Rumble is if you're in the live chat there, if you go down by where you're typing the live chat message, you just got to click the button with a $sign on it. And when you click on that, it'll just bring up a window asking you how much you want to donate. And that's it. Very simple, very easy. All right. Hell, I can do it. So that tells you it's very simple. Okay. Very basic, like me. And then also, if you're watching on YouTube, you just have to go into the live chat on YouTube and down again by where you type in your live chat message. Just click on the button that has a $1 bill on it. And that, again, that'll bring up a window that asks you how much you want to donate, and then that's it. There you go. Now, if it's the first time you do it, it's going to ask you to put in your credit card information. So obviously it knows, or your bank account information, so it knows where to pull the money out, right? All that good stuff, right there. So there you go. Hey, Lindy Rig 87, yes, that very button right there. There you go. Absolutely, hell, a stand-up guy right there, Lindy Rig 87 right there, and let's all toast to Lindy Rig right there, stepping up and with the lucky number 7 there in the Rumble rant right there. So thank you, sir. Thank you. Outstanding. Drink them if you got them. Smoke them if you got them. In celebration of Lindy Riggs' Rumble rant right there. Excellent there. So thank you. Thank you again. So, all right. Enough of begging for money from me there. And I just kind of wanted to quickly go over, I'm not going to go over this with a lot of pomp and circumstance or anything like that. I don't have any graphics or overlays about this or something like that. But, Backdraft is directed, as we all know, by Ron Howard. Okay. It's directed by Opie, Opie from the Andy Griffith Show and Richie Cunningham from Happy Days. Right. And, after he did those, of course, he went on to be this acclaimed director. Maybe not so much anymore because he hasn't made very many good movies here recently. He did Hillbilly Elegy, which is basically, it's the J.D. Vance story. That's a great movie. So he's got still great movies here and there and whatnot, but not with the regularity that he had in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s there. But, he still every once in a while has a great movie like Hillbilly Elegy. We had another movie called 13 Lives, and that was a pretty good one. But yeah, so I bring up Ron Howard because, pardon me, I wanted to kind of just discuss my top 5 Ron Howard movies here. And I'm going to go down from 5 down to 1. And so my top 5, my number 5 Ron Howard movie is Backdraft. So the subject of this very show here, Backdraft. I love Backdraft. I love that. One thing I love about it is because it threw me for a loop because I couldn't picture Ron Howard doing a movie like a drama like this, like a drama that has the kind of edge, right, and the kind of kinetic, hard-boiled violence, right, and that it has to it. Because Backdraft, it does have some very graphic, grotesque, holy shit, images and scenes in it. And so I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know Ron Howard had that in him there. So it threw me for a loop. I think it was his first movie where he had a badass Hans Zimmer soundtrack to it. And the Hans Zimmer soundtrack, to Backdraft, is badass. Okay, it's very cool. And this, of course, that was after Hans Zimmer did the Rain Man soundtrack and all these other they do the Days of Thunder soundtrack the year before he did Backdraft. But very cool movie. And also I like the fact that the movie is like the Top Gun. It's like the Days of Thunder for firefighters, right? And a lot of firefighters, they joined the fire department because of Backdraft, right there. Maybe they got convinced that, by this movie that, yeah, you really can just run into a fire while it's saying, come on, man, let's take this bitch on, or, hey, don't let this fire scare you, man. You got to take it on, or, let's get ahead of it, Or maybe they thought, like, you really could, like, bust the top off a fire hydrant or off a fire extinguisher and throw it into a fire and it would just blow up and extinguish the fire. Not true. That's impossible. That doesn't happen right there. And I've heard that from an actual fireman that told me, like, you can't bust the top off a fire extinguisher and just throw it at a fire and it's going to, like, blow up and extinguish a fire. Not going to happen there. So maybe they saw that stuff like, wow, that looks awesome. I want to be a firefighter. And also on top of that, Backdraft has, like, very cool fire effects, right? Especially in the ultimate, in the climactic fire that they go to take care of in the chemical factory there, where unfortunately Stephen McCaffrey does meet his end there. And of course, Adcox meets his end, but who cares about Adcox? He's the bad guy. There you go. But yeah, so the fire effects are just incredible. We had never seen fire effects in a movie like that until Backdraft right there. So that's why it's my number 5 movie right there. And yeah, I like that right there. Yep, exactly. Sean, yeah, I loved Hillbilly Elegy. Yeah, that's a great movie. I mean, I like what I like about Hillbilly Elegy is it takes its time. And it takes its time in order to let you get to know the characters and care about them. So you actually care about Glenn Close's character, and of course J.D. Vance and Amy Adams as his mom, and you see some other of the family, like J.D. Vance has a sister, that had to deal with with the upbringing and all that right there. And then of course I like how they had J.D. Vance. They showed him up at Yale, and he was like setting the snobby Yale people, up at Yale, like setting them straight about people that they don't live up in Yale, they don't live in Boston, they don't live on the East Coast or the West Coast. They live out there. They're people of the land, right? And setting them straight, like they're not the stupid hicks that you think they are there. And obviously J.D. Vance, he grew up in rural Ohio, Kentucky, and went to Yale, went in the Marine Corps and all that stuff. And so yeah, he's no dummy. You have to be more than a dummy to be able to do that stuff right there. So I like that part where he was like setting those Yale snobs straight. And then his relationship with his wife. What is his wife's name? I can't want to say like Mara or something like that, but anyway, not important. But yeah. All that to say is Hillbilly Elegy, great movie. I think it had a Hans Zimmer soundtrack there as well. And then I also like the message at the end, where J.D. Vance was like this close to being like kind of sucked in to the family drama to where he was going to be stuck in that little town and not pursue greatness. He was about to do something criminal that was going to just completely just fuck up any kind of future prospects he had. And he was like strong enough to resist that urge. And I can't remember. I think that, and Sean, maybe you could remind me. I thought it was like a character, maybe it was Glenn Close's character, that told him that you can't let your mom's problems drag you down. You can't let her problems hold you back. You got to look forward there. And so, and that's actually, that's the message that really pissed off the left right there, because they love to use the excuse like, well, black people, they're in these bad neighborhoods, they're in the hood, they're in these bad situations, they can't rise above, there's nothing they can do, you can't rise above. And Hillbilly Elegy shows you, in addition to, in real life, the millions and millions of examples that contradict what the left wants you to think, that, oh, well, you're a product of your environment. If you don't have a good library in your neighborhood, then you're going to grow up to be a criminal and you can't rise above it. And that's the message that they hated. So that's why Hollywood hates the movie Hillbilly Elegy right there, because it speaketh too much trutheth right there. So there you go. But yeah, great. I'm glad you mentioned Hillbilly Elegy there again there, Sean, because I remember I mentioned it a little earlier there as well. All right. So, and then my number 4, my 4th favorite Ron Howard movie is Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe. This is like the second collaboration between Russell Crowe and Ron Howard. Of course, the first one was A Beautiful Mind, but this is Russell Crowe. He plays James Braddock, the boxer from back in the 20s, and he's like a famous boxer, James Braddock. And this is before the Great Depression kicks in, right? And it's him. He's married to Renee Zellweger. His manager is played by Paul Giamatti, and he's just enjoying the fame and the wealth that comes with being this boxer. And the Great Depression comes along and just kicks his and his family's ass. And it's like a great allegory on how a man and his wife cannot just be physically tough, but they can be emotionally tough, right? They can be psychologically tough there. They have a great backbone where life comes along and kicks your ass, but they do what they have to do to look out for their family. And eventually there's a scene in Cinderella Man which just breaks your heart, where Russell Crowe, has to go and has to humble himself in order to get food for his family there. But it shows like he has this emotional toughness. I'm going to get all emotional. But he's tough for his family, just like he's like a tough boxer. It also has who's that guy? Max Baer. So it also has the character of Max Baer, who's a real life fighter, just like James Braddock. And he was played by Craig Bierko. Okay. And the reason I bring up Max Baer is because he's the big bad guy in Cinderella Man. And it's crime about Max Baer being portrayed as the bad guy, as being like this formidable boxer, like the big bad boxer in this time where that Braddock has to go up against and fight. Is they portrayed Max Baer as like this bad guy that's like disrespecting Braddock's wife, played by Renee Zellweger. He's like this womanizing guy who's a big jerk. And then he killed another boxer and he doesn't care about it. And the family of Max Baer, they were pissed off at this movie because they're like, wait, that's true. Our father wasn't like that. Our father, our brother, my son wasn't like that. That's not how our Max was. And so they were really pissed off about that. And actually, Max Baer, he did kill a boxer, but he was like broken emotionally for doing it. He felt so guilty about that. He wasn't like the piece of shit that they portray him as in Cinderella Man. And eventually, like his portrayal, so his guilt from killing a boxer really got to him enough to where it pretty much like it drove him to drink. And I believe he died really young and broke. And then his son, I think kind of fared a little bit better than him. Max Baer Jr., of course, went on to play Jethro in the Beverly Hillbillies there in real life. So that's Max Baer Jr. There. So that's kind of a little useless trivia, a little useless pop culture trivia there. But so when you watch Cinderella Man, that's the only fault that I have with the movie, is that they took major liberties with the Max Baer character. And but I think it was because it's a movie. They need a big bad. They need a bad guy to they need an antagonist to go with Russell Crowe's protagonist there, I guess. And so, but outside of that, it's a great movie. It kind of gets emotional at times. So it's a great movie. I love Cinderella Man. It's a great movie. Again, it's the second collaboration between Russell Crowe and Ron Howard there. All right, let me wet my whistle here real quick. Hey, and if you guys are drinking, go ahead and toss them back. So here we go. Oh, yeah. Excellent. All right. So let's move on to my third favorite Ron Howard movie, and that is the previously mentioned A Beautiful Mind. Okay. And this is the movie where Russell Crowe, no, he didn't win an Oscar for this. He won an Oscar for Gladiator. He was nominated for Cinderella Man there. But I think Cinderella Man, let's go here. This is bothering me because I know Cinderella Man won Oscars, but I can't remember for what. Probably, I'm guessing like Best Director. Let's see here. So kind of awards it got. Yeah, let's do this here because it was too good of a movie not to get awards. I mean, that thing was like an awards magnet here. So let's check this out. There we go. All right. Awards. IMDb. Come on, IMDb. Come on. I know there's a awards section in here. Pardon me. Connections, quotes, goofs, trivia. Okay. I think it's in here somewhere. Yeah, IMDb used to have like an awards section here. Okay, yeah, I think we're gonna do this the hard way. All right, let's do this. Backdraft or back down. Cinderella Man. Oscars. There we go. Okay, looks like there we go. Let's do this. Okay. So they nominee. So did they? What does it say if they won? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. They didn't win anything. What? Not at all. Okay. So it looks like it was nominated. So Paul Giamatti was not Cinderella Man. A Beautiful Mind. There we go. Let's go here. Must be getting late. Can't keep my thoughts straight over here. I'm drinking too much of this. There you go. Beautiful Mind. All right, A Beautiful Mind. Let's do that. Get out of there. It's over here. Yeah. Right now, you guys are like, I don't ever want Van to do any internet research for me because it takes him forever to look up stuff right here. So let's do this. All right. Here we go. I think now we're getting somewhere. Get that advertisement out of my way. All right. So, here we go. Okay. It looks like okay. So so A Beautiful Mind won 5 Oscars. Best Picture. Oh, okay. Best Picture. Best Actress in a Supporting Role for Jennifer Connelly. Best Director. And then Best Screenplay by Akiva Goldsman, however you say that there. And so, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 Oscars. I love to count. Aha, you won 4 Oscars for A Beautiful Mind. There we go. Sweet. Okay. Yeah. So, Russell Crowe was nominated for Best Actor, but didn't win it. Okay. Because, I would have known if Russell Crowe won 2 Best Actor Oscars because, as far as I know, like at least the most recent actor to win 2 Best Actor Oscars is Tom Hanks right there. But yeah, Beautiful Mind, fantastic movie. And it's all about Russell Crowe playing John. Let's see here. Get out of there. There we go. Yeah, he plays, what's his name? John Nash. Yeah, John Nash. Okay, so, and so John Nash, he is, he's a guy, he grows up, he's what's the word like? Schizophrenic. So he's schizophrenic. But he's a genius, right? He's got a wealth of knowledge up in his melon there. And they show him, I think he goes to Harvard at the beginning. And he basically knows like, talk about all these theories and all this. He's a smart guy, okay? And it talks about how he because of his schizophrenia, he thinks that he's being recruited by the CIA or the NSA or something like that to be a code breaker in World War II. Now, while he was at Harvard or Yale, wherever he was at, Then he meets Jennifer Connelly's character, who he ends up eventually marrying. And it's kind of one of those movies where if you describe the plot, it doesn't sound very appealing, right? It doesn't come off as a movie you'd want to watch right there, but you just have to watch it, right? And and forget the terrible description that I have for the movie. Just watch it. Trust me, to throw another creepy Joe Biden whisperer out there. Check out A Beautiful Mind. Great movie, all about John Nash. And it starts out where he's like a young man in college, and you see his life all the way up through when he's an old man, and all the drama that he goes through and that Jennifer Connelly goes through. And it shows like Jennifer Connelly's character truly loves him because, I mean, this guy is a handful. He is a handful. There, he's a big. He goes through all this psychological torment, and he's just not with it. But he's a genius, but he's just not with it because of his schizophrenia. And she is the picture of till death do us part. She is willing to stay with him through thick and thin, and so it's a beautiful part of the movie. Beautiful part of the movie and it's. I was about to say that kind of has to do with the title, A Beautiful Mind. Not really. But yeah, so and one Best Picture. So how bad can the movie be? If you haven't seen A Beautiful Mind, check it out right there. I think the score was from James Horner. It's a great James Horner score. And James Horner is the same guy who did like the Titanic soundtrack there. Let's see here. And James Horner is a movie composer that he was taken away from us much too soon. James Horner. Yep, James Horner is Roger Deakins was the director of photography. Ooh, Roger Deakins is good. Roger Deakins does like the cinematography for a lot of Coen Brothers movies, and he did like this cinematography for James Bond movies and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, it was James Horner. Yeah, James Horner, great composer. Unfortunately, he died way too early because he was flying his plane, his one-man plane, and his plane crashed. So, yep, and so he was taken away from us way too soon. But James Horner. James Horner also did the soundtrack to Commando and 48 Hours and Red Heat with Schwarzenegger. So just look up James Horner's soundtracks there, and you'll be like, oh man, the soundtrack kicks ass. Yeah, James Horner, you rock. And there's like a great James Horner documentaries about his life and that kind of thing. So, but anyway, so A Beautiful Mind. All that to say is A Beautiful Mind is my third favorite Ron Howard movie, and so let's move on to number 2. Yes, number 2. So my second favorite Ron Howard movie, and this might be a shock to some people. Some people might be like, "What? This is your second favorite Ron Howard movie?" I can't even remember this movie. But my second favorite Ron Howard movie, unapologetically, I am not apologizing for this, is Ransom. I love this movie, Ransom. Is Ron Howard's collaboration with Mel Gibson. It's the movie where Mel Gibson is married to Renee Russo, and Mel Gibson is like the CEO of this big. It's an airline. Okay, he's a multimillionaire, and his and Renee Russo's characters, their son gets kidnapped, and their son is played by Brawley Nolte. And if that last name sounds familiar, yes, Brawley Nolte is Nick Nolte's son in real life right there. And so, so their son gets kidnapped, and it departs from your normal, hey, we kidnapped your loved one and we want you to pay a ransom. It departs from that because Mel Gibson is like, oh, you kidnapped my kid? Okay. Oh, you want a ransom? Okay, I'm totally ready to give you the ransom. Okay. And so he meets, them to give the ransom, and all of a sudden, like the FBI kind of intercedes and blows up the whole thing, and the ransom exchange doesn't go down, and he's not able to get his kid back. And Mel Gibson sees something in the guy that's the bad guy, the representative of the bad guys, sees something in the bad guy's eyes that tell him, like, even if I were to pay the ransom, I'm not getting my kid back. They're going to kill him anyway. And so Mel Gibson decides to turn the tables on the bad guys, and he says, all right, you want a ransom for my kid? You're not getting one dime from me. I'm not paying anything. Instead, the money that I would give you for ransom, I'm going to spend it on getting the best trackers, the best headhunters to hunt you down. And you're going to feel my wrath because I'm going to pay all this money to hunt you down and make your life a living nightmare. Okay. And so he creates this controversy because everybody who's not, every armchair know-it-all in the world is like, just pay the ransom. Don't you want your child back? It's just money. And they don't know shit because they're not right in the middle. It's kind of like today, like, with the internet, everyone's an expert on everything, and all these losers in their mommy's basement, they're all experts on everything there, and so he runs into that, and so the kidnappers, of course, this throws the kidnappers for a loop. They're like, "What? We got into this thing to get money, to make money. All right, and here's this guy, and he's calling our bluff, and he said, you're not getting $1, not getting one red penny." Whatsoever. So you might as well return my son, okay? And if you don't return him, if he ends up dead right there, yeah, you better grow eyes in the back of your head because you are not safe anywhere on this planet. I'm a multimillionaire, and I will spend every dime I make on hunting you and all your cohorts down. And I thought that plot was like badass, like, yeah, all right, and but it's a very emotional movie. Some very emotional moments in this where you're like, oh my God, did that actually happen? And it's got another great James Horner soundtrack to the movie. And then, Mel Gibson is very, very human in this. He's very relatable. This came out the year after he was in Braveheart. So, in 1995, he was in Braveheart. He was William Wallace, in Braveheart. Then the next year, he's like this multimillionaire CEO of an airline in this movie Ransom, where he's like just kind of this down to earth guy with a child and who gets kidnapped. And Renee, it's a reunion between him and Rene Russo, because Mel Gibson and Rene Russo were in a couple of Lethal Weapon movies together. Okay. And so it's kind of a reunion between them. And Gary Sinise is in this movie. He's a very good, very effective character in this. Donnie Wahlberg, Liev Schreiber, Delroy Lindo, Donnie Wahlberg, is in this. It's got one of the new kids on the block is in this movie. Okay, it's got Donnie Wahlberg in this movie, so it's got great action and it's got great plot twists in it as well. So it's got a great ending to it. So so Ransom. I can watch this movie all the time. Now it's a little hard to do that. This is a hard movie to get your hands on because there's a lot of fighting about who's supposed to be the distributor of this movie, who's the owner of the movie, who can show it on their streaming service, who can't, and so you can get Ransom on Blu-ray. I have Ransom on Blu-ray. So you get a hard copy, and that's really what you should do with movies. Get hard copies. Don't mess around with streaming or getting it through the Apple Store or whatever. Okay, don't do it. Get a hard copy. Okay, so it can't be modified. It can't be changed. You got it tangibly in your fingers right there. So, but yeah, if you try to find it on streaming or something like that, you might find like a crappy copy of it here. But the best looking copy of it that's available is Blu-ray. Let me see here. Maybe they have, because I bought my Ransom Blu-ray. Let's do 4K UHD. See what's out there. Okay, so as of September 2025, there's no official 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. Okay, and they have not announced a 4K remaster there. So yeah, back in 2012 they came out with a Blu-ray, and that's what I've got for. But the Blu-ray looks fine. I mean, if you've got a Blu-ray player, worth its salt, it upscales the picture, to pretty close to HD quality anyway. But check out Ransom there. It's a great movie there, because it might be a movie where you revisit and you're like, oh, this is better than the first time I saw it there. Or you might be like, wow, this is kind of one of the more under the radar Ron Howard movies that I don't know. I mean, I know Splash, I know Backdraft, I know Parenthood, but I don't know Ransom. I know the Da Vinci Code, and I know all these other movies, Apollo 13. I know that, but I don't know Ransom. But you should know Ransom, and that's why it's the number 2 Ron Howard movie for this guy right here. Okay, and we're to it, man. We're to it. Number 1. My number 1 Ron Howard movie is Apollo 13. Apollo 13, except no substitute for my number 1 Ron Howard movie. Okay, and I think probably a lot of you will agree with me that Apollo 13 is a great movie. Okay. It's another movie like Cinderella Man and A Beautiful Mind that is based on a real story, okay? And it's about the Apollo 13 mission there with Jim Lovell commanding it. And unfortunately, we just lost Jim Lovell there recently. He passed away. He's no longer with us here. So, but he passed away there recently. But he was. If you believe what you see in Apollo 13 and believe his book that he wrote right there, he was an incredible guy. He was a very impressive guy. And Tom Hanks plays him very, very well. And I say that as if I know Jim Lovell personally, and I can I can make the comparison between how he is in real life and Tom Hanks' portrayal of him here. But the way Tom Hanks portrays him, I'd be like, I'd love to sit down and have a beer with Jim Lovell there. And of course, there's Bill Paxton in it as well, and Kevin Bacon, and they end up in this near space disaster in, I believe it was like 1970, I think is when that all went down, and it becomes like this big headline grabbing catastrophe, space catastrophe. And this is at a time where space, people, like NASA going up into space was kind of like, everyone was kind of like, ho hum, it's boring, blah blah blah. It's not a big deal anymore, especially after Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin and Alan Shepard, went up to the moon. They landed on the moon, and so a lot of people saw that as like the pinnacle of space exploration. And so once that happened, all the subsequent trips to the moon were just kind of like, been there, done that. But because this is the way the human mind works, because there's the threat of someone dying, like there's this drama from this ordeal. People started tuning in to the ordeal, and the news networks picked up on it, because they're like, well, it's not enough that it's a nice exploratory space trip up to the moon. We're not going to broadcast. That's boring. But hey, the minute they're there's the minute that they're in a high percentage chance of dying, well, let's broadcast that shit right there. Let's make that a big story there. So it's just the messed up way the world works right there, isn't it? And but yeah, so they have the part where Kevin Bacon goes to stir the oxygen tanks and it ruptures something, and obviously it's not Kevin Bacon's fault. Kevin Bacon's character's fault in this. And so then they're up in space, and they have to try to figure things out. They've got their instruction book up there about how to what to do during their space flights, and then it's a great story about problem solving as well. There with Ed Harris playing like the ground commander or something like that. Whoever, he's at Houston, right? He's at ground control. They're playing. God, what was his character's name in there? I should know it because Ed Harris won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for portrayal. Gene. Was it Gene? If I keep saying the name Gene, enough. I will get it. I keep wanting to say Gene Lovell. It's not right. It's not. Gene Kranz. That's it. Gene Kranz. So yeah, Ed Harris won the best supporting actor for playing Gene Kranz. If you've seen Apollo 13 and you see Ed Harris's performance, you're like, yeah, give that guy the Oscar yesterday. Okay, he's so good in this movie, and also gave Ed Harris, his very first well-deserved Oscar, because Ed Harris has been so good in so many things. I mean, he was he was in The Abyss, and he was in Swing Shift, and what else? He was in The Rock the year after the year after Apollo 13. Of course, he played like the Marine, the Marine general. Yeah, he was General Hummel in The Rock. He was the main adversary for Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage in The Rock the year after he won the Oscar for Apollo 13 there. But a prominent movie I know Ed Harris for is The Abyss, the forgotten James Cameron movie there. So he's been in a lot of good movies. But Ed Harris won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for Gene Kranz. Actually, I think it was the third time that Tom Hanks was nominated for a Best Actor Oscar right there. And so if he would have won that, he would have been a 3-time Oscar winner for Best Actor, and he would have gotten it in three consecutive years, because he would have won the Best Actor for Philadelphia, Forrest Gump, and then a third year for Apollo 13. God, what a feat that would have been right there. But the Oscar voters like, all right, let's share the wealth. And so I don't know who he lost to in what was that, 95? Oh, he probably lost to Nicolas Cage. Yeah, Nicolas Cage for Leaving Las Vegas there. So, but Apollo 13, great movie. I'm trying to think, is this the? Yeah, this is another Ron Howard movie with a James Horner score. So yeah, he I'm trying to think here. So yeah, Ron Howard had some great composers for his movies. Hans Zimmer, James Horner, great composers there. So it was a great James Horner score, and then also like Kathleen Quinlan plays Tom Hanks' wife in this movie, and then also you've got Bill Paxton. I mean, the late great Bill Paxton. He's great in this movie. I think this is the role that got him the lead in Twister. Twisters didn't come out till like 2024, so that's the sequel. But yeah, Bill Paxton got the lead in Twister with Helen Hunt the next year, based on his performance in Apollo 13. Of course, Kevin Bacon was in this as well. Kevin Bacon had been around. I mean, he was a prominent actor before Apollo 13. Hell, he was in Footloose and JFK and all these movies before he was in Apollo 13 there. So She's Having a Baby. Kevin Bacon was in a lot of stuff before this. So yeah, Apollo 13, great movie. It's got some really, tearjerker moments in the movie. Also it's got a, I think it's the only movie that has Ron Howard's mom in it, because there's Ron Howard's mom plays Jim Lovell's mom in this, and I love the scene where she's sitting there and she's watching the footage, the Apollo 13 disaster, the Apollo 13 ordeal footage, and she looks over and she sees her granddaughter crying, because her granddaughter's like, I don't want my dad to die, right? And she basically tries to cover her granddaughter. She's like, if a washing machine could fly, my Jimmy could land it. And so she's saying that to try to console her granddaughter right there. And I thought it was a great line, and the way she delivered it was pretty good. And then also the scene where so Kathleen Quinlan's character, Jim Lovell's wife, is afraid of Jim Lovell's mother being emotionally distraught from watching all the footage of her son going through this ordeal. And so she recruits a couple of Jim's buddies to come over and console or just kind of distract Jim's mother by, like just swinging the conversation away from the ordeal, even though she's watching the ordeal on TV. And so those two buddies of Jim's that Jim's wife invites over to take on this task are none other than Neil Armstrong and Alan Shepard. And so they sit down, alongside on each side of Jim Lovell's mother. And she's like, "Oh, wow, my Jimmy? Are you guys in the space program too?" It's like Neil Armstrong kind of looks over at Alan Shepard like, "Yeah, we're world famous for being the first. I'm like Neil Armstrong. I'm the first man to land on the moon, to step on the moon. Yeah, I'm with the space program. I'm world famous, But she just doesn't know because she's elderly, or she just doesn't pay attention or whatever, So, but I thought that was kind of a laugh moment right there. Like, yeah, they're part of the space program. It's Neil Armstrong. So there you go. But yeah, very kind of funny moment in that. And this movie has good moments in it as well. Oh, I can't leave out Gary Sinise. Also is in this movie as a great character here, where he was originally slated to go up on the Apollo 13 mission. He was the third guy to go, to be on the mission along with Bill Paxton and Tom Hanks there. And then the flight surgeon says that he's bound to get the measles, because he does a medical checkup, medical test. They're like, yeah, it looks like you're about to come down with the measles, and you're going to be going through the worst part of measles while you're up in space. And that's a really bad time to have the measles, is when you're up in space right there. And so they scrap him from the mission, and then enter Kevin Bacon's character there. And then, if you've seen the movie, most people, I'm just going to assume everybody who's watching this right now has seen the movie. Turns out, newsflash, he never gets the measles. Okay. So it makes the flight surgeon, look like a real ass. Okay. Again, yet another example of doctors don't always know everything right there. A lot of doctors don't know shit. Okay. So kind of a illustration of that right there. And again, this is a real story. It's a true story right there. So, but again, Apollo 13, yeah, that is my number one Ron Howard movie. Love this movie. It's a fantastic movie. And like, even if you've seen the movie before, it's a great movie. It's a great rewatch. And then even like, if you know the story of Apollo 13, and that, that they make it, it's still a great movie to check out there. And also I love the interplay between all the nerds, that are at NASA, that are at Houston Space Control or whatever they call it, Space Command or whatever. And they're trying to have to figure out, how to, create this filter to filter getting oxygen in from the command module into the lunar blah, 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 whatever. Right. And they're basically, they've got all these things, all these items that they know are up there at the fingertips of Bill Paxton and Tom Hanks and Kevin Bacon. They're like, okay, they have all this stuff up there in space, and they have to be able to make this filter out of all this stuff. And so they're like, we have to make this square thing fit into this round thing right here. And so they all come together, all these professors, all these scientists and engineers, all that stuff coming together. It's just a beautiful collaboration of trying to come together and solve this issue, this problem. And it does remind me, a similar movie to this is The Martian with Matt Damon. The Martian with Matt Damon is another very scientific, very analytical movie where there's a scientific problem. It's a very catastrophic, deadly ordeal. But Matt Damon's character in that, he says, okay, well, yes, it is a deadly ordeal. I could die, but you can solve this problem if you don't look at the whole picture. If you just break it down into scientific steps, one by one. Okay, and Apollo 13 is the exact same way, where Ed Harris as Gene Kranz and then Tom Hanks as Jim Lovell, independently in different scenes in Apollo 13. they both communicate to other people like, you're worried about step 78. We're still on step 13. All right, let's concentrate on step 13 right here. We've broken this down into these scientific steps. Let's just concentrate on step 13. And once we have that solved, go to step 14. And guess what? After that, what step we're going to go to? Step 15. We're going to solve that. We'll go to step 16 and so on and so forth. And so both movies are kind of an allegory for problem solving. And so, but they do it in a very entertaining way. So yeah, so that's why The Martian is like a good movie to pair with Apollo 13 if you want a good double feature there. So absolutely. But yeah, so all that to say is that's my number one Ron Howard movie, and that's my top 5 Ron Howard movie list. So yeah, let me know in the live chat. Hey, do you think I'm smoking crack? With my list of movies. Is there a movie that was in my list and they're like, what the hell was that doing in your list? I'm guessing that might be ransom for some of y'all there. Do you like hate the order, or are you like, oh my god, you're a genius fan? That's the exact five movies that I would have on my top 5 list, and in the exact same order. Man, you're just wise beyond your years. Okay, let me know if your favorite Ron Howard movie, whatever. And also, if you're not watching this live, yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think of my Ron Howard top 5 list there as well. And hey, if you want to give me your own top 5 Ron Howard list, that's fantastic. Some of you might have Splash in yours. You might have Cocoon. You might have the Da Vinci Code. Splash came very close, coming in my top 5. Angels and Demons is another one that came very, very close. There, Hillbilly Elegy was really close as well. So, but yeah, again, that's my top 5 Ron Howard movie list. All right. You know what? Actually, this is usually the part of the show where I tell you what movie I am going to review this next week here. And it just occurred to me. I haven't even looked that up yet. Let me do that here. Let me do that. I could just tell you right now what movie I'm just going to decide right now here. Okay, let me do this. I'm just going to kill that. Not that. So you guys are looking live at the process I use to determine what movie I am going to go over in the next week here. Oh, here we go. There you go. So I like to go to movieinsider.com, and movieinsider.com is it has like a nice schedule there, and a list the upcoming movies. Let's get out of there. It's September. Oh, yeah. Say that you remember. Dancing in September. All right, here we go. So what is today's September 4th? So what comes out tomorrow? September 5th? Oh, The Conjuring. All right, The Conjuring Last Rites comes out tomorrow. I like The Conjuring movies. Highest to Lowest. That's the new Spike Lee movie. Okay. Well, since I've reviewed the first Conjuring on here. I can't remember if I've reviewed the second. No, I think I just did the first Conjuring movie. I've reviewed the Conjuring movie. So, yeah. Okay, so the movie, it's been decided, the movie for next week that I will be reviewing is The Conjuring Last Rites. Okay. Please, God, let it be better than the last one. Okay. The third one, was not that great. Okay. The first two, I love the first 2 Conjuring movies. Fantastic. The third one, no, not so much. So this more recent one better be good. So yeah, check it out. Sunday morning, or it's not Sunday morning, sorry, Sunday afternoon on Movies Merica Live. I will give you my spoiler-free review of The Conjuring Last Rites, and then next Thursday, the Movies Merica spoiler warning show, the show you're watching right now, either live or the recording of it. Well, it's actually more pertinent to you if you're watching live. So yeah, The Conjuring, The Conjuring Last Rites. I will be going over that in depth a week from tonight on Movies Merica. Spoiler warning there. Okay, let me do something here real quick. And there we go. Nice. Just had to take care of some business right there. There we go. All right. So I think we're almost at the end here, guys. I think we are. And oh yeah. And so yeah, let me take a minute here to beg you. Request that you follow me. So I'm going to try to do some double duty. I'm going to try to do some typing and talking at the same time. But yeah, if you would follow me on all the platforms I'm on, I am on X under @Movies Merica, and on all the platforms that I'm on there under Movies Merica or @Movies Merica. So in the case of X, I'm on there as under @Movies Merica. I'm on Facebook under Movies Merica. I have a Facebook page and a Facebook group called Movies Merica, and I also have a Van Ebert account on Movies Merica where I mostly put just Movies Merica stuff on there. And then I'm also on Gab and Rumble, and I'm on Instagram. I don't really do much with Instagram right there. Oh, I'm on Letterboxd and Criticalist as well. Okay, and I'm on there on those websites. Again, I'm on all these platforms under @Movies Merica or Movies Merica there. Okay, and so yeah, go ahead and please, if you would, follow me on all those platforms right there. And then because if you do that, you're doing me a favor. You're doing me a solid. And so if you let me know that you follow me on all those platforms via sending me a DM or a direct message on X, again, underneath my @Movies Merica account on X, then yeah, let me know that you follow me on all those platforms, and I will follow you back on those platforms right there. Of course, let me know like your username that you have on those platforms there, so I can do that right there. So yeah, you scratch my back, I'm going to scratch your back there as well in the most platonic way possible there. Okay, let me stress that right now. Nothing kinky. Okay, nothing like that. So, all right, and then and then also I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to send the link to this episode to anybody that you even remotely even suspect has seen Backdraft. Maybe you think they want to see Backdraft, or anybody that you even remotely suspect likes movies in general. Send them a link to this episode, or you can just find the link to my. Here, let me do this here. I will do this. Do this. Let me do that. Let me put the link to all my stuff up in the chat, y'all. All right. There we go. So that's the link to all my. There we go. Let's pin that up. Oops. Go. Pin this message. There he is. That at the top. Yeah, okay. So I pinned that message. That's the link on the Rumble live chat there. And let me do this up in here. You're watching on the YouTube side. There we go. So and on YouTube in the live chat, that's the link that takes you to the page that has all my episodes on there right there. So feel free to send that link to anybody that you even remotely suspects likes movies right there. Okay. And so, all right, let's wrap this bad boy up here. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye right there, but I just want to thank, let me thank everybody that got in the live chat here tonight. Sean, Lindy Rigg, John, getting all up in here, particularly Lindy Rigg for that awesome $7 Rumble rant over there. And also to Sean for rating this episode right there as well. And go ahead and look all those guys up on Rumble as well. So, but all right, everybody, get out there. Those movies aren't going to watch themselves. See ya. Howdy, my movie maniacs and my fellow freedom-fueled film fanatics. Would you do me a favor and check me out at solo.to/Movies Merica? That's where you would go for a one-stop shop for all the links that have to do with me, Movies Merica. And then also, if you want to check out the audio-only podcast versions of my Movies Merica live episodes, that's my spoiler-free reviews that I do on Sunday, you can go to moviesmerica.com or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, places like that. And then, actually, if you would also check me out on the social media sites like X and Instagram and Facebook and Gab. And I'm on those locations all under @Movies Merica. So it is very easy to find me out there, all right? So get to it, everybody. All right, thanks for watching. Later.
Hey guys, don't leave the video quite yet. Okay, I've got the popo. They're coming after me, and I don't have much time to tell you, but you need to like and subscribe this video right here, down below. It's right down there. It's just waiting. It's waiting for you down there, okay? And make sure you watch these videos over here too. You'll be doing me a big favor. I'm gonna be in handcuffs pretty soon. All right, thanks for watching.